So I love success stories, and there's one story I really like about the Arturo Fuente family. They're one of the largest cigar makers in the world, and there's a video out on YouTube. It's called The American Dream, the Fuente family, I believe it is. And it tells the story of all their struggles, and man, they went through all kinds of struggles to make sure they had one of the largest cigar companies in the world. They were passionate about it. Well, when Arturo first got started, he started very small, but in the process, he had a son named Carlos, and Carlos was around 10 or 11 years old when he was diagnosed with polio. He got very sick, and next thing you know, he began to be crippled. And they really didn't know what it was, but it ended up being polio. And so they quarantined Carlos to the point where his family couldn't see him, nobody could see him, and so somehow they found favor with the hospital they were at, and they would push Carlos to the window so Arturo, his dad, could see him every day. And they tell the story that Arturo would get there every morning at 10 o'clock, and Carlos says, you know, with tears in his eyes, he could hear his father's voice say this: "You're going to live, Carlos. You're not going to die, Carlos. Trust me, believe me, you're going to walk again. Believe your father. You're going to live. You're not going to die. You're going to walk." Every day at 10 o'clock, his dad would tell him that. The story goes on to say that about 2 to 3 years later, he began to walk. You know, he had struggles, but then eventually, through a lot of therapy and this and that and the other, then he began to walk normal. And now, he walked normal in his adulthood even. And basically, because of his father's words of encouragement, he believed that. And what a lot of people didn't overcome, Carlos did. You know, it tells me this: your words create worlds. And they create worlds of sadness, happiness. They create worlds of belief or doubt, discouragement, encouragement. And you know, we all go through times and challenges in our life that when we have a passion or a dream, there's always going to be some kind of obstacle in the way. But it's how we speak during those times. It's what we believe in those times is going to determine the outcome of how it changes. You know, one of the things Carlos said in this video, he said he didn't ask how I was feeling that day. He didn't say, do you feel bad today or not? He didn't care about none of that. He just said, you're going to live, you're going to walk, you're going to make it through this. You're a fighter, Carlos. Come on, you're going to do this every day. I just wonder what would have happened if his father hadn't have done that to him. You know, they've celebrated an anniversary, I found out, and they have what's called a Blue Label Opus X. And they've named these cigars, these particular blends. One's called The Father and the Son, one's called Believe, one's called The Power of the Dream, and one's called God's Whisper. And I think that pretty much sums up, and if you watch the video of all their stories, I mean, they dealt with hurricanes, they dealt with civil war in countries, they dealt with all kinds of challenges, but they never give up because they had this passion to make cigars. And despite all the challenges, they have been successful. And I often wonder if the reason why they chose those 4 names for their cigars is because maybe whether Arturo knew it or whether Carlos knew it, I wonder if God was actually whispering in their ear. Maybe he was whispering in Arturo's ear, saying, don't tell your son, don't give up, fight, you'll live, you won't die, you're going to walk again. I wonder if they call it Believe because they believe in their passion. And maybe they call the other cigar The Power of the Dream because they believe in the dream and they know the dream has power. And maybe they call the other one Father and Son because they know the importance of family and relationship. You know, those are 4 key things I believe in any dream or passion. I believe God puts things on the inside of us to do, and then maybe that's God's little whisper. Maybe that dream you have or that passion you have, that's God's little whisper to you. But you've also got to believe in that dream and in that passion and understand that that dream has great power to affect other people. And also know this, that relationships are the most important thing to your dream, to your passion. You're not doing it just for yourself. And the reason why something is on the inside of you is to help others, to bless others, to maybe provide for your family. But you can't give up. So the next time you hear this struggle that comes across your life in pursuing your passions and dreams, don't look at it as a struggle. Look at it as a challenge, number one. But number two, it may not look like it's going to walk right now, but if you keep speaking life into it and you keep talking to yourself, you can do this, you can do this. Don't give up. You know what? One day your dream is going to walk. One day your passion is going to live and survive. And you know what? You'll look back at those years and say, you know what? I'm glad I believed. I'm glad I believed in the power of the dream. I'm glad I heard that little whisper on the inside, and I'm glad I did it for my family. Here's the question though. What's your dream?